Hey guys, welcome to another commentary done by Diggity, and this is the start of BSL 21 Hasuleague. Unfortunately, I do not have a lot of the fancy graphics as of yet. I'm still waiting on the tournament organizer Zero to get me those, but as soon as I have them, I will put them on screen. This is the opening game of the Swiss portion of the tournament. On Polestar, upper right corner, we have Mevious starting as the orange Protoss. Bottom left hand corner, we have GGnore starting as the yellow Terran. And just so you guys know how the tournament is structured, we have the Swiss opening group. The way Swiss bracket works is everybody plays the initial round. Players who go 1-0 then end up playing each other in the second round. Players who then go 2-0 end up playing, basically you match players up from the same with the same score, and then line them up to get very good games, and then also get kind of rapid elimination. And then at the last end, the top players get seeded high, the bottom players are eliminated, and you move on to the bracket stage from there, which I think is a pretty good way of doing this. It's kind of an interesting combo of, it's not exactly, all these are, by the way, best of 3. It's a lot of games. I will say it's a lot of work, but I feel like the quality of it creates interesting quality of games. You end up with some more interesting lower level play, I will say, at the bottom levels, where it's like just absolutely anything can happen, but you also end up with really, really good games towards the end of the bracket stage. And I feel like that does provide some decent quality going the way through. I will say my favorite version of tournament is still MSL style, where it's double elimination, but it's against different players. Anyway, Gateway Assimilator opening. We do have a barracks and gas getting grabbed about 148. I'm not familiar with either of these guys. A lot of the guys from previous season T1 actually have moved up to Hasuleague Tier 2 through the ladder stage, and also via, I believe, there's now kind of a, I'm not sure when this is implemented actually, in BSL. Effectively, if you get top seed in Hasuleague at the end of the season, you get bumped up a bracket. So Hasuleague goes to Pro League, Hasuleague goes to Hasuleague, so on and so forth. And I believe a lot of the top players from the previous season have moved on into Hasuleague, and but we still have some familiar faces. I think Metadman's still around, Mayara's still around. Rancor's in this group. He's actually going to be my strong early favorite. We'll see how he plays out. Although I will say he's going to end up at least 0-3 because he ended up missing the games in the opening rounds, which makes me sad. I feel like his playstyle is also very entertaining. Anyway, Mevious has gotten the scout out. GGnore still is working on his scout, kind of an odd scouting pattern with his SCV right there. Probe trying to get what damage it can. It looks like a single SCV is pulled off. Still mining gas though. So it looks like this provides a little bit of flexibility. Usually this suggests we're going to see 3 Marines into command center, but oftentimes you'll see players, once they've got that factory down or going for that initial vulture and they got the 50 gas in the bucket, they'll pull the SCVs off gas to speed up for the command center on occasion, not always. GGnore stealing some minerals at cross positions on a larger map. I would expect both these guys to play a little bit more resource heavy. GGnore actually going, oh man, this is unfortunate for him. So scouting bottom right, finding nothing, now going all the way to the top left. And this probe, very, very sneaky, wants to see that SCV, gets wiped out, but I think it saw the SCV on exit, which lets him know that it was going to be a single vulture command center build. And again, the SCV going to the far reaches here before. I wonder if this was just kind of a left click, forget about it sort of scouting pattern, but that is going to provide the opportunity for Mevious to go ahead and deny some information. It looks like he is after the second Dragoon, potentially to get rid of that SCV scout, going to line up with that Nexus. And I think this is some good game sense for Mevious as well. Let's see if he recognizes that it would be, never mind. I thought he was moving out to engage the SCV, recognizing that the scouting pattern was going to have to be delayed, so it was most likely going to be a cross-map scout, so he was moving up to go ahead and engage the SCV. Instead, he moves the Dragoons out at the worst possible moment, so full scout out here for GGnore. Vulture is going to get out on the map. A bunker was skipped, interestingly enough, at the cross position. This is going to leave these Marines very vulnerable, and the bunker, ooh, very, very late. So Mevious could skip forward if he's looking for it. He's got range already. It looks like he's going to wait for range to finish, but Dragoons trade. 2 Dragoons beats 3 Marines. You need 6 Marines typically to deal with this. No focus fire, but 2 Marines very, very damaged. 1 Marine down. Bunker does finish. Mevious missing a bit of an opportunity, but the Vulture in the meantime going caddy corner, almost able to sneak in to the main. 2 Dragoons are working on that bunker. Second SCV is not drawn down to help repair, so these Dragoons, okay, canceled Last second on the command center. Second, 2 SCVs actually making the way down. That should complete. And a Vulture kind of staggering its way back. The SCV's still in the main, by the way. It's going to get full scouting information. Interior here. Mevious going to go drop a second gateway. Let's see if he gets some additional gateways on top of that. Mines are finished. Siege tank is out. But with only a single Vulture out in the field, and the 2 Dragoons somewhat heavily engaging the natural expansion, looks like that SCV was wiped out. I think it still managed to see the robotics. So it knows it's a 2-gate, and I think it must have seen... Actually, I wish I could have done this last second. I'm not sure if it saw that second gateway or not. Siege tank and... Ooh! 5 Dragoons. All of a sudden, map control completely opened up for GGnore. If I wanted to say like GNR, that's a little bit easier to say than the full GNR. That rolls off the tongue a little bit more. 2 siege tanks, 2 marines, and a Vulture pressing forward aggressively now that there's not as many Dragoons. 3rd gateway dropped. We are going to have 3 Dragoons on the front, potentially with siege tech and a little bit of a delay from GGnore to engage this. If he engages now, he might be in trouble. Unless he gets a mine in the face. Yeah, loses a marine for free. 2 siege tanks fares a little bit better against this, but if he waits for siege tech and provides a little bit more support, he actually might be able to get some form of contain. It looks like he's drawing back right this second. At the very least, what he could do is invest in a few more Vultures. Factory a little bit fallow right this second. Engineering bay up upon risk of that robotics facility. It looks like Observer going to be able to sneak out. The mines have more or less been cleared. There's only the single mine out here the corner, and Mevious, even though he's maybe not recognizing it in map position, by the way, this looks like it is Upgrade Terran from GR. I'll just say GGnore, it's easier to remember. It looks like he's going to go for the turret filler along the corner. I do believe that'll be in time to go ahead and stop the Observer. I'm going to respond to chat. Can I also cast Ghostly League Tier 2? I might be able to do that. We'll see. That's a lot of casting, but maybe I skip. I would have to. I'll talk to Zero about it. Anyway, where are we? Missile turret, hanging out on the edge. Mevious able to sneak in. He's gonna at least see the 3 factories. Didn't alter course on that. Able to at least see the 3 factories. Healthy siege tank count actually, in comparison to the Dragoon count, but we do have that 3rd nexus at cross position. 4th factory getting dropped. And +1 weapons on the way. And then this looks like it's going to be a 5 factory play. This has become more typical for Terran these days, to get a large unit count. Mevious making his way down in the meantime, leaving a few Dragoons back just in case some Vultures rushed out into the field. The Observer holding short. This is very dangerous, by the way, for Mevious, considering he didn't have a lot of vision or map control up to this stage. Okay, there's the Observer alongside. Yeah, you need that Observer out in front to kind of guide the path of the Dragoons, just so you don't end up losing units latently. 2nd machine shop getting dropped here for GGnore, and he's not yet making maneuvers as... Oh, never mind, I take that back. Now starting to make some maneuvers, maybe to establish kind of plumb line right about here, to maybe grab that 3rd out in the corner. There is gas there, by the way. Just so people are aware. This is, I would say, if Mevious was... So Mevious actually really short on supply here in comparison to what GGnore has. And this could be a lot of trouble for him. That 3rd base is up. It's not yet saturated. He's gathering a lot of Dragoon Central. He's got a full control group right there. If he engages right this second, he's in good shape. But now these tanks are, in fact, sieged. Looks like we're going to see movement. Go ahead and do a map reveal. To grab the 6 o'clock base away from his opponent. The Observer with Observer Speed cycling in. I love the Observer Speed upgrade, by the way, for the Dragoon forces. Mevious having trouble keeping his army cohesive as it's sneaking its way out. Is going to take a shot from the siege tank. Is he going to... Ooh, 1 Dragoon. 2 Dragoons want to sacrifice their life for the cause, it looks like. One wants to at least think about death as he's sneaking his way back. The Vulture somehow managed to sneak along that right-hand side. There's actually an open path going all the way around, but the Vulture holding up short. Looks like a turret is going to push that Observer away, but this is still, the information's been gleaned that a 3rd base is in fact in construction. Mevious, honestly, in a little bit of trouble here as +1 weapons is finished. He is behind as far as raw unit count. It looks like he is going to have Zealot leg speed, but he's well behind. He's got a healthy worker count, but his army is just not that sizable. Fortunately for him, GGnore is playing more of an upgrade turn style, though he has not dropped that second armory as of yet, is going ahead and queuing up +2 weapons, and is playing a lot more macro oriented here in the initial stages. An engineering bay kind of floating up is going to get absorbed by those dragoons. GGnore, let's see what his gateway count. He's actually sitting at a very thin 8 gateways right this second. And it looks like he's going to go for a 3 base. Is this going to be 3 base Arbiter? It looks like it's going to be 3 base Arbiter. I'm still concerned with him going 3 base Arbiter at this stage, mostly because, and it looks like the Vulture's finally going to go out and mine the forward field. We have lots of observers, and it looks like some dragoons to go ahead and clear that. The speed, the observers do need to stay, over that minefield. Good job right there. And Mevious doing a good job of denying vision. The problem for Mevious right this second, though, is he's still sitting on 6 gateways. The gateways are actually fallow right this second on top of it. The supply count's actually in GGnore's favor, plus the upgrades are in his favor. Which means, theoretically, GGnore is just in a much, much stronger position. The saving grace here for Mevious is that he's playing very passively. However, off 3 bases, over the long run, looks like we are seeing a Stargate to make its way towards +2 weapons, no second armory as of yet. However, over the long run, I do believe that GGnore is going to end up hitting 200 supply fairly rapidly, and he's going to have a massive siege tank count by the time any Arbiter is fielded or there's even stasis able to upgrade. It looks like we are now seeing some additional gateways plopping down, and it looks like Mevious is starting to fill in that gateway count a little bit. But I'm still concerned for the long-term play here, and we'll see if there's any sort of maneuver on +1 weapons. Right now, GGnore just cycling out a handful of vultures, has mines planted all over the forward field. Otherwise, Mevious effectively has map control simply because GGnore is not really contesting anything. It looks like he wants to just kind of play the slow upgrade turn, might even go for a 4th as he's making his way to the right. I would be a little bit surprised, given his current style of play, if he did in fact make a dive towards Mevious's bases, and instead I think he's just going to try to encapsulate that bottom right hand corner, establish an additional base there, rather than going for the near side inner 9 o'clock expansion. In the meantime, a little bit of an off-center nexus here at the 12 o'clock base for Mevious. That will be his 4th around the 12-minute mark. He has managed to increase that supply count fairly strongly. To maybe clarify things, it looks like we do have some additional factories getting dropped in the midst of this science facility as well. Starport is up for a possible science vessel. Stasis being upgraded. This is the start, I believe, of the first Arbiter, so it's just going to be Gateway Man for the short term, so I don't think Mevious is going to be able to get a lot accomplished. And if GGnore is going to go play for the long term, he does have the open opportunity to go ahead and blockade the bottom right-hand bases. Potentially just make a cutoff route to the bottom right and play from there. We have some zealots starting to make their way to the forward field. I will say the siege tanks are really spread out though. We have what, 4 siege tanks here to the north, 3 here, a bunch of mines simply right there, and a lot of siege tanks to the rear. Not really a concentrated attack force as of yet. In the meantime, GGnore now concentrating that attack force. Mevious approaching 200 supply, by the way. 4th Nexus is online now at that 12 o'clock location, so look for a transfer shortly. And just starting, it looks like he's got +1 weapons, +1 armor, not that far from finishing. We're at 1-1 right this second on the upgrade ring, and GGnore starting to make his way towards the north. Is unsieged, but has a lot of troops. Now going to go ahead and siege up. And as he sieges, it looks like Mevious was going for a full surround, but a lot of these units are coming from the low ground along that right-hand side. Bunch of units coming from the north. The vultures are not protecting that high ground. And as I say that, well, this is still a lot of siege tanks behind here. Yeah, I think Mevious is going to end up white, theoretically, over the long term. Yeah, ends up losing a lot of troops. All of a sudden, GGnore is massively up in supply. He still has a pretty solid siege tank grouping. Does he go for a committed attack is the next question. There are all sorts of gateways now in position here. The probes are making their way out to the 12 o'clock base. That will be 4 saturated bases shortly. Mevious is going to run into production problems where he has more gateways than he can really field right this second. Single Dragoon trying to clear out mines as best it can. It looks like GGnore recognizing the opportunity, he's going to start peeling forward. This is a great assault location for Terran because you can effectively siege up along this, and then the Protoss has to engage across the low ground. I think Unarbiter's out here, and there's no mobile detection here for GGnore, so he's going to have to rely on Comsat. He's got some mines, and that's just about it. Mevious sneaking some troops out. Looks like he wants to go for a counterattack, or he's going to sweep all the way across the middle. This is still an awkward location to try to... He has to go a long distance if he's going to go for all the way around. Instead, currently evacuating. That's going to be a dead base right there. Mevious running into mines. That's also going to reveal to GGnore where the reinforcements are located. Some vultures in between point A. It looks like he does want to go for a full wraparound, and he's got at least a stasis to provide some support. The stasis, he's waiting on that stasis. Big stasis. It's 4 siege tanks, 3 vultures. That is going to provide some additional buffering, though, for the northern siege tanks. And GGnore is going to fill in the short side. Still is going to have to rely on Comsats to provide some support, but this was still a big victory for him as he was able to wipe out that base. Still holding the lower lip. Dropping additional Comsat. Now Goliath is going ahead and engaging that Arbiter. Goliath does end up... should theoretically win that fight, and the Dragoon's getting wiped out. Mevious now in a really rough spot, as effectively GGnore can expand behind this if he wants. Looks like he is actually going to clear this up. That's some nice macro right there. Able to clear it out. GGnore, is he going to reinforce? It looks like he's holding. Siege tank's going to get wiped out. And this is as the main is going to get cleared for both players. The main looking very, very thin for Mevious. As you can see, just about wiped out for GGnore. GGnore going to go ahead and back up. Actually mined himself out. Okay, it looks like he did grab the additional base. I was just looking the wrong location. I was expecting him from the central location to make his way right. Instead, going to go ahead and grab his 4th here. 12 o'clock base is up. Mevious is redropped the Nexus at the 3 o'clock. So a lot of these gateways not going to be able to produce for him. It looks like the Arbiter's starting to make their way top left. And GGnore theoretically at an economic advantage right this second. Does have the 3 machine shops, double armory, +2 weapons is online. +2 armor just about to finish. And then that is actually, never mind. +2, well, +2 weapons up, so I would say this is about equal. Usually this is still a bit of a Terran advantage, because +2 weapons just melts Dragoons underneath, and I don't know that the Arbiter count is still large enough to challenge this. However, no defenses out to the 9 o'clock location. This is, again, while I was expecting a little bit more of a defensive grab to the bottom right, mostly because you can kind of reinforce towards the right with the siege tank line and threaten that 3 o'clock location simultaneously. With this 9 o'clock grab, this causes GGnore to have to cover a lot of territory. We do have some mobile detection in those science vessels up, by the way. And the Arbiter count is starting to fill in. We've got at least 2 Arbiters. A 3rd Arbiter, I think, is taking the field someplace. I'm not sure where. I don't think we're in a position where recall is going to be a possibility. GGnore cluttering up that left-hand side before he's going to make any additional maneuvers. And Mevious kind of testing that outside border. Right now, again, GGnore up in supply. Whenever Terran is even on bases, that usually means they're economically ahead. And I'm not sure if Mevious is, again, going to be able to... It's kind of the double-prong problem here, where he hasn't expanded top left as of yet. If he expands top left, GGnore has the opportunity to push into him, but I don't know that he's going to be able to stop GGnore from expanding bottom right if this does turn into a longer macro-oriented game. So I don't know that Mevious has, right this second, the jump start economically towards the top left. All of that will change, however, if GGnore doesn't utilize those opportunities. Right now he's max supply, is starting to make his way back up towards that 3 o'clock encroachment point, and Mevious, his Arbiters are currently along that left-hand edge, so away from this fight. Does have an Arbiter mid-map, had a dark, actually mixed in a Dark Templar with that army. GGnore trying to gather a lot of this up. The Observer seeing these movements, and Mevious initially expanding away. Looks like he's going to get a pretty good engagement. A lot of these tanks are not sieged. The 3 Arbiters pressing forward. He's got a lot of stasis. A big EMP hits the 2 northern Arbiters, but do not catch the southern. And GGnore just was not sieged up, and that tank line was very, very spread instead of... Now, granted, you want a little bit of spacing between your siege tanks, but you don't want them in kind of a long line away from your opponent, and as a result, Mevious really able to hop on and wipe out that army. I think GGnore concentrating a little bit on hitting that EMP, which was actually critical to not have that go more disastrously than it did. But at the same time, his army was just spread out on a line, and Mevious was able to just go with the bulk of his troops along a straight point. Mevious preemptively thinking that he must have gone for an expansion bottom right, going for an attack and finding nothing at that location. The siege tanks going to be cleared out. GGnore still has a sizable chunk of supply to work with, but now is maybe, let's see if he now is going to make the decision to make his way towards the bottom right. Top left now getting cleared out. We also have that base at the 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock position being cleared up as well. Observer screening its way forward. Mevious has been fantastic at getting mine coverage cleared fairly effectively in any sort of pause. GGnore actually now gathering up. I wonder if he presumptively believes, is he just going to grab that? So he can go ahead and grab that 9 o'clock location, but I'm wondering if he presumptively believes that the base is in the upper left under Mevious's control. Mevious regathering that army. This might be a better engagement point if the, oh man, I was about to say if these tanks get sieged up and don't get stasis, but a big bulk of them stasis and more stasis coming. When you don't have siege tanks in the grouping whatsoever, and Protoss is able to attack at a point like this and just encroach and swarm, it is not a good time. Mevious with some solid engagements. By the way, the upgrades looking really, really solid for him as well. So 9 o'clock base is going to get denied, and now Mevious in a pretty strong position. He's got 3 functional bases, so 1 base ahead, which is where you want to be as Protoss. He's going to get a whole bunch of siege tanks, which is a big chunk of this supply. It looks like GGnore trying to press his way up to get a second engagement. I want to click this arbiter, there we go. But as the stasis finishes, it looks like that's just not going to be in time, and that's in fact going to get swarmed. And he, as a result, is he going to end up donating some additional troops? Looks like not. Going to go ahead and blockade. So GGnore now has additional work where either he needs to press up along the left-hand side or the right-hand side to grab himself an additional base. Right now, the 6 o'clock is starting to thin out for him. Go ahead and get rid of the UI and bring it back up so you guys can see the, whoops, that's not what I want to get rid of, the dwindling mineral count at that location. Also, Mevious going ahead and grabbing additional bases in the upper left-hand corner. Yeah, trying to reswarm. Looks like he wants to still grab that 9 o'clock. Mevious is got, it looks like he's about 3 control groups of units swarming around that area. Possible solid EMP, but GGnore just out of, I think he was just out of vision range for it. And in the meantime, he's starting to siege up, and he, ironically, I think he presumes that these bases are already up top left, and so he's looking for a distractionary wedge, but the bases are actually not under Mevious's control right this second. And now he's got another spread out army. The Zealot's going to go ahead. I don't think they even need to clear these mines to the north. They're actually running into that minefield somewhat unnecessarily. We have some siege tanks here along this lower edge. Zealot's going to be able to get on top of the vultures. It looks like Mevious really kind of donating some troops, but is going to hold that Nexus line up. Cancels the Nexus last second. Why? Maybe he didn't. Oh, yeah. Okay. So he thought he wasn't going to be able to hold here bottom left, but he's got a stasis to work with and wasn't in a bad position here. Instead, going to go ahead and expand bottom right. I feel like that was a base. Well, he gets the resources back. I will say that, and he certainly doesn't lose it. 9 o'clock base in construction now for GGnore. Mevious, this is a bit confusing for me, because if he's going to drop that location, yeah, go ahead and abandon it. Don't continue to fight over it. Instead, going into a pile of troops that are now established. A stasis, great stasis though, so it looks like he is going to in fact win this engagement. Overall, the stasises have been fantastic for Mevious, and GGnore really has not had an answer up to this stage. Bottom right hand, Nexus is going to come online well ahead of this. 9 o'clock base is there. Let's see if the SCVs are even able to transfer though. And we do have the opportunity for recalls if Mevious is able to get his supply back up and running. Decent saturation here top left. He's running on 3 bases right this second. GGnore looking for some opportunistic hits, and it looks like he is going to be able to save his siege tanks last second. More zealots filing in to the south as some SCVs are sneaking their way up, and there's some mine drags. We got some latent mines that have not yet been cleared. It looks like they're not going to be a factor, however, but that could have been scary. Siege tanks to the north were wiped out. Looks like a nice EMP on at least a Arbiter. Nexus now getting redropped and recanceled. Top left. No saturation bottom right as of yet. We do have a few cannons getting cleared. So right now, GGnore somewhat preoccupied over the left-hand corner. Keep sending in groups of siege tanks and vultures. It looks like he... So rather than dividing north-south, it looks like he wants to divide east-west by pushing in. Let's see if he sends an SCV towards that left-hand side. I'm not sure if I like that. I guess it's equalized across all sectors here. But we'll see how this ends up playing out. We have some siege tanks to the south. No, we do have a stasis. But Mevious with not a lot of troops. So he's got these troops, and now we got a pretty decent siege tank line parallel to the Protoss army rather than perpendicular, which is critical. The Zealot's gonna wander in. These mines are dangerously close to these siege tanks. Looks like the Zealots were on attack move, so in fact engaging the mines instead of just running past them into the siege tanks. Let the mines do the work for you sometimes. And it looks like that attack force is gonna get wiped out. So right now, kind of a detente over the top left. GGnore has managed to gather some troops bottom right. Not a lot of saturation here. Some Dragoons making the way bottom right. No observers in position right here, and this is a huge minefield on top of everything else. Mevious actually behind a little bit in supply, but he does have a lot of gateways to refilter. Usually you want about 4 active bases to make sure you're getting full utilization out of a larger gateway count like this. It looks like he's now starting to push all of his troops this direction. The observer now making its way in. I'm shocked these Dragoons lasted as long as they did. And GGnore seeing an opportunity, going to start pushing troops in to bottom right. So that will be another Nexus down, and all of a sudden he's ahead economically. As he's denied top left, he's got the 9 o'clock. Well, things have just equalized a bit. So you've got the 9 o'clock and you've got the 8 o'clock base. If Mevious dives into the 9 o'clock, that will be a big momentum swing. He's got to go now, though, before there's an opportunity. And he also, on the turnaround, needs to make sure that his main doesn't get swatted. So some vultures making the way up. This base is just ripe for the picking, and Mevious is drawing back, unfortunately. What a missed opportunity right there. This base this is turning into an interesting mid-game starvation situation. As the bases haven't been fully utilized, looks like Mevious is going to redraw. That's unfortunate. If he had just stayed up there, he would have been in a better engagement situation. It looks like instead, what he wants to do is distance mine, or at least try to establish top left. But this is giving GGnore a top ground to low ground opportunity and a nice enclave position. Also got a lot of the stasis out of the way with that Arbiter, and so now some probes are stranded top left, and Mevious would have suited him well to just attack up into that 9 o'clock. Might have been able to establish the base off that attack as well. This could be a huge stasis, as this is a big clump. Is the science vessel ready to drop the EMP? Stasis not catching as much as it possibly could have. Vulture's going to cut off reinforcements, it looks like. Mevious, if he's going to have to reinforce, he's going to have to kind of do it at an awkward angle against this attack force. But he's actually got a pretty decent-sized army to engage here. And several of the siege tanks are under stasis. And it is encapsulation. He doesn't critically have those zealots pushing in. So at best, he's going to be able to reset the siege tank count. Looks like he might end up losing his Arbiter in the midst of this as well. Reinforcement's going to cut this off. We're going to see another Nexus. You know, no Nexus cancel. We're going to see a GG right there. So GGnore going to take game 1. And Mevious falls. We'll move on to game 2. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.